on, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's our podcast is about your journey in the music industry, and starting nightly and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, dude. I no, I'm happy to be here, and I'm one of three guys.
Hmm.
So um, the other guys are kind of we're all spread out around Nashville, staying safe and stuff. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, we started. Oh, is this like we good to go on the interview and everything start now, or?
Yeah, yeah. Are you from Nashville originally?
No, so Joey and I, who's the guitarist in the band, we're from outside of Philly, so we were both born in South Jersey, Philly area, and grew up there, and then moved to Nashville a couple years ago, and that's where we met Nick, our drummer, he's from Ohio.
Oh, okay. And you're
Yeah.
cousins, right? You and Joey are cousins.
Yep. Yeah, we are. Technically, I think we're like second or third cousins, but we're Italian, and when you grow up like with cousins within like an hour of you and you're Italian, it's just they might as well be like, your brothers and sisters or something.
So very close growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were always and we were kind of closest in age,
Mhm.
Joey, myself and my brother. So three of us, grew up pretty close.
Right on. How did you get into music?
Um, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like my parents sort of forced all someone they forced all of us to do piano lessons when we were kind of like 9, 10, and of course we all hated it.
Sure.
I always thought, I don't know, well, it's the other thing too is when you get some kind of lessons, they teach you the basics and like the classics and things, and I just
Mhm.
it was hard for me to get into that kind of music, so I always wanted to learn to play guitar. So they said they would let me play guitar if I did like a year of piano. So I was really just kind of like suffering through a year of piano, which of
Just going
course
through
is
the
the classic thing to
motions.
say, but now I'm like, man, I wish I would have stuck with piano lessons more. But yeah, man. So like I think 9 or 10 I was doing piano and then switched to guitar at 11,
Okay.
and Joey had a guitar as well. We actually bought like matching Fender Squire Strats, and
Oh, rad.
so we just like, yeah, trying to try to jam from like even from that age. So I don't know, yeah. And then it was just something that we were in different bands in high school. Like it was something that we just did, was make noise in our parents' basement and things
Mhm.
since we were young, and kind of just, I guess, never really grew up.
Were you guys in bands together or separate bands?
A couple together, a couple separate. So when I was like 12, my family moved about an hour and a half away from his family. So, and when you can't drive, it's like an hour and a half might as well be across the country.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, there was a couple years there where just in different bands, and we would still get together maybe like once a month. And I remember, because I'm a year younger, I remember going to like one of his band's practices and just being like so jealous of like, the singer or whatever, like that he got to be like, I wanted it to be me in
Right.
Joey's band. But he was kind of in bands with like some of the older kids, and um so I just, yeah, it fueled my sort of like inspiration to go back and get better.
Hmm. Hmm. When did you start writing music? Like, when did you start writing songs?
I think I don't know. It was around like 15 or so, I think, was when I sort of figured out that I, like wanted to do that, or like had that inside of me. And so it was just the classic story of like my first, songs were just absolutely terrible, and and I think you like always kind of are ripping off like your idols at the time, or whatever. And so I just remember like writing like really bad versions of like Switchfoot songs and stuff, you know, like trying to do that. And um so that's kind of, yeah, that's I think around the time when I wrote like my first things, you know. And I
Mhm.
only like really, I wasn't good at like playing and writing, so it'd be like a song with like two chords, so it would just be
Mhm.
like the worst song that anybody's ever heard. But yeah, probably around that age, yeah.
Okay. And would you like you're playing you guys were both playing in separate bands or like together a little bit through high school, and how did you like re-link up to form Nightly?
So yeah, we were in and out of a couple bands, and we went to college together. And after our first year, we had tried to start a band, and it didn't work out. And I remember being super bummed. And Joe left college, went back to Jersey, and then I had written this song, and I convinced him um, to play on it with me. And I honestly don't even remember how exactly it happened, but we did this song, and then we entered like a battle of bands type thing. And it was in a different bunch of bands, and we ended up like not winning, but we won like several dates on the Warp Tour. Um,
Oh
and
wow.
so like
That's cool.
yeah, it was like a regional, like it was like Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands or something. And so um that was, I think, the thing that like kind of ruined us, because I think we maybe did like a week's worth of shows on the Warped Tour, just it'd be like Philly, Boston, New York, like kind of just in a region. And we
Mhm.
just got hooked on kind of touring and playing live. So that's when, at that point, we had some family in Nashville. And they heard us, and they were like, well, kind of work in the industry. Like one was an agent and one was a manager, and they were like, well, you guys suck, but I feel like if you move down here and maybe learn how to write some songs, to Nashville, that could be a good like crash course in like whether you're actually gonna have a shot or not. So
Mhm.
and that's what we did. So we moved down to Nashville. And not everybody kind of made the move down, and the band took like various forms. And then, yeah, I guess about 4 years ago was when Joey and I sort of had the vision for what this band is now. And um yeah, so that's like kind of
When
how we got where we are.
when you guys played Warped Tour, were you called Nightly at the time?
No,
Or is it a
no, we were
different
not.
band?
Different band, yeah. Joey and I I think this is like our third band together since high school. So
Oh, okay.
uh yeah, it's taken many forms, and hopefully gotten slightly better each iteration. But
Yeah, but still, I mean, to win that contest and to be able to do the Warped Tour, you had something going for you guys. And then like, did that band just disband, and that's how you were like, oh, we should probably like get to Nashville because you had family friends there.
right, yeah. Well, so that band was, I guess, technically the one that moved to Nashville, and then that kind of shortly after disbanded. And yeah, we hadn't, I don't know, like songwriting to us was just, it was a little different. Like our eyes weren't really open to like, I don't really know how to explain it, but we just kind of would jam in like the basement or the garage and make songs, and they just like weren't very good. And I think,
Hmm.
and it was also just a very different thing. So I think each like kind of song we would write, we would sort of figure it out a little more, and then got introduced to like co-writing or working with like a producer or whatever. And that was sort of what I think helped us learn about like, hey, you should maybe have like parts in songs that repeat instead of just like one long run-on sentence or something, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But it's like,
yeah,
the
like
thing is
structure to the songs.
yeah, yeah, I mean, because for us growing up where we did, um the music scene is just like so different. And I didn't know the only kind of people that I knew that did music full time were, you know, music teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this one guy who was a friend of my dad's who played saxophone at like in like a traveling thing. And so when we came to Nashville to see people who did music for like a living, was like, it was like the first time you go to like Disney World as a kid or something. You're like, wait, this is like a place like that people can make songs and, you know, not have to like, you know, also like be an accountant, like, and just,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
my dad's an accountant too, so I'm not like ragging on accountants, but but yeah, man. So it was like, it was just, I think, and there is something special here. LA has it as well, but like there's something just like that feels sort of magic about Nashville with like the songwriting community and the music community. It's like very, I don't know. It, again, just for me, the only people I knew who did music full time were music teachers, or like I knew a couple people who were in cover bands who would play at bars on weekends and do
Right.
like make a couple $100 like doing that. And so I think that's when we started taking it seriously and trying to like get better, was
Mm-hmm.
around that time.
And when you moved to Nashville, is that when you started writing what became like the first EP, the Honest EP?
Um, yeah, so we were in uh, another band for a little while. That band kind of broke up, and with that last band, we had sort of, we were never signed or did anything like that, but we
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of syncs in MTV shows like, you know, Jersey Shore and like all that stuff. We had
Oh,
like
wow.
a a bunch of songs like that. So that was kind of what was like keeping us afloat.
Right.
And
Did you have
then
like a publicist or something at that time? How are you getting the syncs?
no, I mean we had a manager, and it was just it was one of those things where like one thing led to another. Like we played a show that somebody from MTV presented the show, and then
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, it was just like kind of one thing led to another type of a thing. And so we had saved up like money, and we were going to fly to LA and make music, and then that band kind of broke up. And so Joey and I were like, well, you know, I don't know what to do, like we have this trip booked, we can't get our money back. So we were like, well, let's just go and we'll just write songs, and maybe, you know, we can just pitch the songs to MTV or something like that. And there was just
Mm-hmm.
this like freedom that we had when we went out there that was like, the past bands weren't like, you know, sometimes bands will like paint themselves into a box, and then it's like really hard to be creative outside of that, which is like
Mm-hmm.
a weird thing that can sometimes happen. So we just went out there with this like freedom, and we wrote for like, we were there for maybe 10 days, and we wrote like 4 or 5 songs. And those are, it's funny because we were just thinking, oh, these will just be songs we'll pitch for syncs, try and make some money while we figure out, like, you know, start
Mm-hmm.
applying for accounting jobs or something. And um and then it was like, that was in maybe like October, November, and then we kind of went home for the holidays. And it was funny, like throughout the holidays, I'd just be texting Joe and be like, dude, like, I don't know, man. So Honest was one of those songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had a couple, No Vacancy, a few of our like early songs. We were just like, I don't know, man. I've been listening to these songs a lot. Like, I really feel like we should do something with these. And so from that like time period, we were both, and he would text me back. He's like, dude, I've listened to him like 20 times. Like, I really love this. So we ended up accidentally kind of making an EP, and like starting another band thing. So yeah, that's kind of how that went.
And then that record like skyrockets for you. I mean, at least one of the songs gets to date almost 11 million plays on Spotify. Like, tell me about
Yeah,
XO and how that seems like it was kind of a pivotal moment in your career.
totally, man. I mean, it's one of those things where, like I said, we had done several bands. You know, so I mean, some of them don't really count. They never left like the basement, but like we had at least had another band that had played shows, toured, and so we were sort of like, do we really want to do another band thing? You know what I mean? At this point,
Mm-hmm.
but everything about Nightly was just fun. And in the beginning, we didn't even have a band name, but we decided, all right, let's play a couple of shows and just do it for fun, see what happens. We put out we play a couple of shows, we put out XO, and this is sort of in like the early-ish days of Spotify, with like New Music Friday was kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still a big thing, but at the time it was like our song got on that playlist, we were unsigned, and then it was just like overnight every record label was like calling us. And I don't know if that stuff happens as much from that anymore. Maybe it still does, I don't know. But so that, yeah, that kind of like, we were just like, oh well, dang, I guess we gotta like make some more songs. We had 4 songs, I think, or maybe I think we had written 4, but we only had 2 that were like recorded or something. And so, yeah, man, it was like a big unexpected start for us. So
Mm-hmm.
we kind of, from then, have just been like figuring it out one step at a time.
So yeah, so all these labels are calling you. Like, that must have been pretty awesome to just have your pick of the litter, so to speak. And then you
Yeah.
guys ended up signing with BMG or
So we were actually with,
Interscope.
yep, yeah, we were with Interscope first for a while. Um, and you know, it was great. A lot of good people there. Ultimately ended up not being like our final home. You know, we were there
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of years, and um, it's just the type of thing, man, where like when it comes to, that's like probably a whole different conversation. But when you sign with the company, it's usually like a couple of people that sign you, and then like those people will like get another job at another label, and things like, it just
Yeah.
turns into a thing. And so when it came time, we just opted to, you know what I mean, like find a team that was like really supportive of what we were doing. So and then
Mm-hmm.
that's when we made the and yeah, they've been great. It's like still pretty new with them, but we love everybody that we work with. And ultimately, I know people do have horror stories with labels, but I'm not the type of person that likes to say that the label decides the artist's destiny. I just think that if you have the drive and I mean, who knows? I don't know what it takes. We're a small band, but I just don't like the excuse of it being somebody else's fault. And for us, I'm just like, we're just going to keep making music that we love, and hopefully our fans, continue to love and grow with. And that's kind of our like MO, if you will, is just
Mm-hmm.
continuing to do our thing and get better and better each time. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we have been very grateful to be a part of BMG. And it's like we just signed with them in maybe like March
Oh,
or April or something. So it's
yeah,
sort of right
very recent.
when the world started ending. So it's been interesting, but they're great, man. We really love everybody over there.
That's awesome. So like the sound of your voice and the other EP you guys put out, Talk You Down, those were both on Interscope then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell me like what was like the milestone moment for you and for you guys on the sound of your voice?
Um, I don't know. There's a song called Holding on that EP. That just feels like it's one of those songs that I am like still to this day super proud of. And it was one that like we really had to kind of fight for, I guess, from like a songwriter's perspective. It's just like we had written the song, and then we actually produced it like 3 different times, and even the third time, like so many versions of the same song, which you listen to it now and you're like, this is so simple. I don't know why it took you guys so long to do this. But it's just something that like that was probably the, you know, ended up being maybe the most popular song on, because we really fought for it, and we
Mm-hmm.
just knew that there was something special about that song. And it was like a true testament to like A&Ring, like not giving up on something, or just like settling when you know that there's like a little something special within a song. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think of when I think of that EP. Um, there's obviously other. It's like
Did you tour on that
the,
EP? Like, were you guys touring when you put out those first couple EPs.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah, we've been fortunate to do, we've done 2 headline tours now and then several support slots. So, yeah, no, we did. We love touring. That's like, you know, half of the reason why we do it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the next EP you guys put out was last year, Talk You Down.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
well, do you have a milestone from that album?
I think again with that one in a different way, and I was telling this story live when we were doing our tour this year, but there's a song called 20 something on that
Mm-hmm.
EP, and it was that was towards the end of our time with the last, you know, label, and that was just a song that we had to fight for. Like, just to be honest, it was just like something that we really believed in, um, and it didn't seem like people were paying attention to it, and we just felt so strongly that this song had to come out. And to date, it's like definitely one of our like biggest songs live, and ones that like I think fans connect with, and honestly, just besides all of that, one that we love. So I think the thing that I learned, that we all learned from that EP, was to trust your gut, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I can like look back at several moments throughout our band's, you know, history of like when we made decisions based on our gut, even if it didn't seem, you know, like a crystal clear answer of what to do, like it usually turned out the way that we had hoped, or like not even the way we hoped, but like it was ended up being a good decision, you know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everything back to like putting EXO out as the first song, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of a gut decision, or to go to LA and record, like write, you know, even though we didn't have. So yeah, 20 something is just like forever will be like a sort of special song to us and our fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really proud of like standing up for something and like fighting for a song, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do that and it like the song like flops, and then you're like, well, and it's not about like being cocky or like knowing everything, because it is, you know, we're definitely like not that way. I think we're open to like learning and getting better, but sometimes as an artist, you got to know when to like put your kind of
Put your
plant your
foot
flag and
down.
put your foot
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
What do you think attracted the attention of BMG? Was it just the success of the earlier songs you had put out, or
I don't know. I have no idea what they're thinking. Honestly, they should have never signed us. um, I don't know, man. They've been supportive. They've been supportive from day one. Even just kind of people within the company like checking up and like being fans. And I remember when we were out of the last deal and we were meeting with other people, and it was like we were playing demos for different labels who were interested, and the meeting with them was just so different. It was like, you know, usually in these kinds of meetings you play songs, like you play a verse and a chorus, and then, you know, it's like, and then you move on and you're kind of like whatever. And I just remember being in this meeting, and it was like the, you know, the president and all this stuff, and he's just like, and I would stop a song halfway, and he's like, wait, why are you stopping? He's like, oh, I love that, that was sick, like keep playing it, you know. And
mm-hmm.
I think they're just they're a little bit different from other labels, and just the way that they operate, and it's a very like kind of global approach, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really the people, man. Like I think a lot of labels are similar to each other, you know. BMG is structured a little differently, but like you know, for me, it's just the people like that make a label more so than, you know, it's cool to have like whatever title attached to your band or something. But I think at the end of the day, it's people that you're going to be like communicating with on a daily basis, you know, like fleshing
Mm-hmm.
out your artist vision. And it's like finding people that understand that and want to like help like elevate that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of what they've been. you know, for us. So
Yeah, that's great. And you've put out 2 songs that you've written and recorded during this lockdown, right?
we have, yeah, we put out 2 songs, and yeah, it's been interesting, you know, I think for everybody, obviously, but we actually, I don't know when this is like gonna air, but I assume by the time it does, we will have announced that we finished like a record, so it'll be our
Mhm.
first full length album. And we kind of did the whole thing in quarantine. So
Oh my gosh, the
um,
whole album you wrote and recorded.
yeah, there's a few bits of songs that came from. There's like one song in particular that we actually wrote in that original trip, like from way back in the day. That like a piece of that song was written, and we were
Mhm.
always knew we wanted to save it for like whenever we put out a full length album. So we have that, and then there's a piece of another song that we started last year, but like produced, recorded, and wrote like 95% of the album since March, I guess.
Whoa. So how have you guys been
Yeah.
doing that? Were you able to you have your own equipment at your house to record? Like tell me the process behind this.
Yeah, we do. We do. I'm like, so we kind of have, I have like a little setup, which is like right in front of me, just super basic with speakers. You know, I have an Apollo kind of and a mic. And so I do a lot of writing here. And then at Joey's house in the basement is sort of been converted into a studio. Is like it's not it's not a full on, you know, studio. There's not like a vocal booth or a drum room or anything, but that's sort of where we recorded everything for the album, except for we did a couple of days in a drum room. So
Mhm.
they're actually, so like the movies, which is a song that we released at the beginning of this year, those
Mhm.
drums were actually recorded in the basement. And then there's one other song that has drums that were recorded in the basement. But other than that, yeah, everything was recorded down there. And um, yeah, so we kind of have our vibes. Um, and then there's been a few songs where if you know, we start something separately and then just kind of bounce stuff out and bring it to Joe's, and we'll all sort of work on it together. Whether it's like there's a song that our drummer Nick kind of started like a drum track thing, to like a
Mhm.
programmy thing on his laptop. So that's one nice thing about it, is just like everybody on their laptops, and we can work on something, and then I can bring it back and work on melodies and lyrics here and track like
Mhm.
scratch vocals. Um, and so I mean, yeah, I suppose that's like, we really didn't have anything else to do in quarantine, so it's like a sort of good way to spend our time. um
Yeah. I'll say
and we just
writing a whole record.
yeah, yeah. So, and I mean, we have always co-produced uh all of our songs, but this is the first time, and we've even like fully produced a few, but this is like the first thing where we're like producing like a multitude of songs. So it
Mhm.
was a really big like learning curve um for us. And I'm super proud of it though, man. I'm like really happy with how everything turned out. And we have a couple of other really great collaborators as well. This guy Keith Barron, who has co-produced like 80% of our old stuff with us. And so he was on several songs. And it's funny because we had finished a tour January, February, and then we had a few weeks blocked out with Keith to kind of like work on what would become the record.
Mhm.
And he was here for like 7 days, and then everything like happened. So he had to like fly back immediately. So, you know, it was interesting scenario, but we're making the best of it.
Yeah. So you kind of had the idea anyway of recording this record right now. It just happened to fall during. I mean, the world just happened to shut down during it. It sounds like.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty
So he.
much, man. Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, we didn't know if it was going to be another EP and then an album, or if it was going to be an album. You know, we didn't exactly know,
Mhm.
but we just wrote and wrote for what felt like forever. I guess it was probably really only like 8 weeks, but felt like forever. And then at the end of it, we were like, well, I mean, we kind of have a lot of songs that we love, and
Uh-huh.
so we decided to put some of them together and make the album.
Amazing. That's awesome. And have you been doing anything to promote like those songs as far as like going live on Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, we've done. I mean, randomly we'll go on live and just kind of like play stripped versions of songs. We did for one of the songs that came out. We did a music video. So it's just, man, it's not the ideal time to put out a record probably for anyone. I think we're all, even like some of our friends and bands who are putting out music we're talking to, we're just like, man, this is crazy, because usually you have a tour surrounding it, you have like promo, and so it's been super just interesting figuring out how to do it. So like I said, I don't know when this will air, but nobody actually knows about. I find out that this is like live, and I've accidentally just leaked the whole record. But and, but like we haven't told anybody. We're kind of been teasing stuff, and so it's been interesting, man. We're also really lucky because we have some great, like really talented friends who one guy, Zach, who does a lot of our visual stuff. So we've been able to get together and shoot music videos, which will come out in the coming weeks, and then like teasers for all this stuff. And it's kind of like tough to just be creative in how you shoot videos and things in a like safe, socially distanced way, So we did our last video we released was like us in the back of a van, like kind of performing. And so just trying to like, think of ideas that are
Like
interesting. And
quarantine-ish, like safe.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What a world. I mean, everyone's got to kind of adapt to what's going on and like pushing your creativity like even further. It's like, okay, now we need to make a video, but no one's shooting videos right now, so you have to kind of just use what you got.
Yeah, and we're super grateful to have Zach, who also lives in Nashville, and I feel like we've been wearing him out, just shooting tons of stuff with him. But yeah, man. So it's a weird time, and it's been interesting to try and promote it. But we have some fun ideas that we're gonna like try and implement as we get closer to when the record like will actually come out. So hopefully it's cool. If not, we at least did our best.
Yeah, right. That's cool, man. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for chatting with me today. That's really exciting. New record. You've got obviously the songs it's really cool that you guys did this whole thing, with the constraints of being locked in and not being able to just go to a big nice studio and hang out with each other and record. So it's awesome you're able to make the best of this situation.
Totally, man. I feel very, very like blessed and fortunate that we could, you know, all still be in the same place, and like because I know some people are probably quarantined away from their bandmates and things.
Hmm.
So I do feel fortunate that we're able to do it. And I'm super proud. So I really appreciate you taking the time and everything. And I hope yeah, I hope it did all right. I don't know if I had any pertinent information, but did my best.
No, dude, you've been great. I really appreciate you taking time. I actually have one more question for you before I let you go.
T-
I want to
Totally.
know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Um, Shoot, I don't know, dude. I mean, I think like, you just really gotta like love it, because there's so many ups and downs, like if you're trying to be a career artist. And so I think that you have to have this crazy kind of like inner self, like confidence about what you're doing, and that bringing you fulfillment, and not necessarily like these outside things, whether it's like getting a record deal or like getting a publishing deal or blah blah blah. It's like obviously we all have like these goals of like what we would love to do, but at the end of the day, you can't always control outside factors. You can only really control what you do. So I would say like just do stuff that like you dig, that like makes you proud, that you would play and you would listen to, instead of kind of like chasing trends or things like that. And I think at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, you'll be happy with like the art that you make, you know, and you weren't like, well, I was just trying to like do this thing and it didn't work, or like, you know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think that that will, and like, and then second thing is just like surround yourself with people who are like better than you know, in whatever capacity that is, whether that's on like the photo video side or whether that's on the songwriting side or producing side, because um, there are people better than you most likely, um, and you'll just like get better by being around them, you know.
Bringing it backward.